Welcome to the Closing Time Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 3, powered by Rocky Hill Accountants. I am Joe Aguirre, joined by this guy, Chris Sawyer. We'll get into him in just a minute. If you still haven't filed your taxes, though, make sure you visit rockyhillaccountants.com. You've only got until May 17th to get it done. Chris, I suspect there's still a lot of people who probably haven't gotten it done. That's not good.
No, it's not good.
No, it's not good.
Get those done.
You got to get it done.
You got to get those done. Procrastinating never is benefit.
We were joking last week. I know a lot of people do it themselves. Yeah. I don't like that.
No, I mean, no matter how much you think you know, I think you should hire a professional.
You got to hire a professional. I'm telling you, there's two things.
Do you know how to pull your teeth?
No.
You go to the dentist.
I always go to the dentist for that. So, yeah, teeth. Look, I think anything money-wise, I want a professional.
Right.
Right.
In the long run, if it might save you $1 if you do it yourself, but in the long run, it could adversely affect you.
Yeah, it'll probably cost you more in the long run than I'll tell you too, because Glenn from Rocky Hill Accountants. This guy was he asked for paperwork from 15 years ago, and I thought nobody who's ever done my taxes before has ever asked for stuff that long ago.
Right, exactly.
That sounds thorough.
He's it's crossing T's and dotting the I's.
You want thorough, trust me. And now, you work for Annie Mac Home Mortgage, so you are in the mortgage field. Again, there are a lot of .coms that are doing it these days. And if you could explain why those .coms are a terrible idea to get a mortgage, outside of the fact that you're a human and you're not really sure what's on the other end of the .com.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt, over the years that if you can build that relationship face to face with somebody, kind of, you're not a number, you're a human. You're humanizing the process, and it allows you and the client to be able to have that constant communication, whether it's on a Saturday or 8:00 at night, and maybe they can't get access to a scanner or something to get whatever paperwork over, that you can actually meet with them because you're local to them, and you're just not a telemarketer taking a loan application. So that's why I feel it's beneficial to have that that humanizing of the process face to face, because a lot of it is hand holding, in the process, because it's a stressful stressful move for no matter if you're a first time buyer or a fifth time buyer. You want to keep them in constant communication, keep them in the loop of what's happening throughout the process. So to be able to have that human interaction as opposed to just dialing 800 number and not sure who you're getting on the other side, because they could be passing you along to Johnny and then Joe and then Sally and then Mary, and who you never know who you're going to be constantly talking to, and where you're talking, because they could have a telemarketing company in Indiana, could have one in Arizona.
Sure. Well, so, that brings up the interesting point, as far as Zillow's concerned, the Zillow's estimate is done without the benefit of any sort of visual inspection.
Right.
That's so again, when people are like, oh, on Zillow, it says my house worth $500,000. It's like, well, has anyone from Zillow been in your home?
Right.
Have they seen the inside of it? No. Then how would they know what your home is really worth? And as you said, you could be calling one of those .com companies and they're out of New Jersey or they're out of South Carolina.
Right.
What do they know about what's happening here, and why would that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's sometimes the people, the instant success, instant gratification community of, I can just call somebody, they're online, but like you just said, do they know where you live and, the taxes or the house values, thoroughly know the house values, where, we can call a real estate agent or an appraiser or an inspector and get them on the phone and be able to get more of a thorough evaluation of whatever the case may be. Whereas if someone is, halfway across the United States, they don't know, they don't have that detailed information. So I think, like I said, I think it's just the quote unquote convenience of people to like go online and get that fast quote, and then they get hooked, and then they get so far along that they can't get out of that hook, and then then they kind of have you.
Yeah, that's
Unfortunately.
pretty much what it is. I mean, right? I think at some point when you're, look, here's the whole thing about mortgages and why it's important to have a real local human being doing it. There's deadlines.
Dates, yep. Absolutely.
And I, as your realtor, I need to be able to get in touch with this person who's doing your loan. And a lot of the times when it's not somebody local, I find trying to track down the person and getting them on the phone to ask basic questions like I would do in any normal transaction, it becomes an impossibility.
Yeah, especially, like, are they banker hours of 9 to 5, or, are you going to be able to get them, at 7 o'clock at night, or on a Saturday afternoon when they're at the park with their son or daughter because there's a softball, baseball, soccer game. But at least, with somebody's locals, they'll be able to pick up the phone, like, hey, I'll be home in 15 minutes. I'll be able to help you out. So that convenience and that service is what, makes the people that are local that you're doing the business with priority number one, to be able to have that availability, accessibility to whomever you're working with.
I've been a realtor for 16 years. And over the course of that time, I have worked with a lot of different mortgage people. And I've also golfed with a lot of mortgage people, both guys and gals, because it doesn't matter what you are sex-wise in that industry. You definitely golf. You golf, right?
I do.
Yeah. Is that like a prerequisite for the job that you're all golfers?
It wasn't on the application.
But I'll say this. Anytime I'm on the golf course, and you and I haven't done this yet, but anytime I'm always out on the golf course with at least one mortgage person, it seems like, and we stop every 2 holes. We pull off and we're sitting there, we're throwing back some White Claws while this guy's talking to his clients. And again, that's the benefit of working with local people who will pick up the phone at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday when we're on the 5th hole.
Well, you have to feel, and this is the way I look at it, is the person that's doing the loan, this is their first loan. Whereas I've done X amount of loans. So, the old adage, not asking a question, or what is it? There's no such thing as a stupid question. So you have to look at it you got to put yourself into their shoes of, they don't know the process. As much as you try to explain the process, they have so many things that are coming at them from different angles, from the real estate agent, from their insurance, from the attorney, from my processor, from me as a loan originator, that they get bombarded. So, not to their fault, they have selective hearing. They hear the certain things. So you have to handhold and guide them through that process. And it might be, repetitive questions, maybe saying it a different way, that, okay, now the light bulb clicks. Now they know where they're at. Why would I need this piece of paper or what have you? So to be able to answer that phone call, to alleviate a question that they might have, is imperative. It's important to, keep their stress level down, and keep walking them through the process. I mean, we have a sheet of paper, a form that we like to give out to clients. It's a Monopoly board. Everybody can recognize the Monopoly board. And on the Monopoly board, instead of, B&O Railroad and Pacific Avenue and those things, it's like steps of where you are in the process.
Oh, that's really cool.
So you kind of hand that out to them along with like a do's and don'ts of when doing a loan, like, don't open up any new credit and all that kind of stuff. This Monopoly board shows them kind of, where they are in the process. Now, for some people, the Monopoly board, they go through it quicker because it's a little bit more smooth of a process. Whereas some other people, for whatever reason, maybe they are self-employed and you got to do a little more income verification, or maybe there's some title issue that comes about, so they go through the Monopoly board a little slower, So you got to be ready to guide them through that board, depending upon their scenario.
One of the big things, and this is a specific story about a specific client, and she knows I tell this story because it's classic. and she was an amazing client. But she, the loan officer and I told her, oh, I don't know, 100 times, don't buy anything large at all.
Right.
If you're thinking about making a purchase of any size for whatever reason, just run it by us.
Yep.
And I'll never forget this. Love this girl to death, but she called me up one day and she said, this is what she said. Can I buy a diamond? Right? I said, listen, I don't know if you mean a ring or a pendant or just a big giant, just like solo diamond. No is the answer.
No.
Just no. No diamonds.
Buy it after.
Yeah. Buy it
after.
Buy it right after. Yes, when the loan closes. That's when you go buy your diamond.
Go crazy.
Do you find, and this is what blows my mind, and I love my clients. We end up becoming the best of friends just in spending that great time together. And for me as a realtor, I'll tell you, to help people that I know find like their forever home, that feels special to me. It really does.
1,000%.
You know, my whole thing when I'm in a house with somebody, because I'll talk you out of it if I don't feel like you guys are into it. I'm like, no. We're, the wife sometimes will be like, yeah, I could grow into this. And I'm like, we're not growing into anything. You either like it today or you don't.
Right.
I hate that. I want them to both, I want that. They look at each other and they're like, yeah.
The wow factor.
All the birthdays, Christmas.
Yep.
I always like to ask them that. Can you see Christmas right here at the tree in the corner? Are we doing that?
Yeah. If
they feel it and they see it, then I'm all about it.
You're painting a picture. You're a visualizer of like you said, oh, that's a perfect place for the Christmas tree and presents around, or look at this dining room for Thanksgiving and the family. Now you'll be able to host Thanksgiving or Christmas or Mother's Day, as we just had it. You're painting that picture for them.
Again, for me, right? And because it's not even like a sales tactic. It's a legit, like, if you don't see it, I don't think this is the place for us.
No, you have to have 1,000% that you don't want to settle for a home. You want to settle into a home.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
You like that? I just made that up right now.
It's funny. My broker has been doing this show with me this season. And I said to her last week, I'm like, you're not going to love this, but sort of my style is if I don't think you love the house, I will talk you out of it.
And you know what that does? It goes back to, we said, building a relationship, because now you have them in your hands and you're kind of taking them through the process. You providing that advice to them is going to hit them in the heart. Like, you know what, you were right. Because when they find the next house, like, wow, I'm glad we didn't go for that other house and we got this one. And what that does, it builds referrals, because they trust you. And then now they're going to say, hey, my sister wants to buy a house. My coworker now. So now you, because of your professionalism that you provided to them, it's reciprocated back with referrals. And that's what it is, because that doesn't cost you anything, but just being a professional.
100% true. By the way, this is one of the coolest people that I know. I love Chris Sawyer. I think he's a really cool dude. I want to ask you a little bit more about, your foray into the mortgage business, but just for a minute, maybe a little background, who is Chris Sawyer? And maybe you could sort of tell some of the cool stories of your early adulthood.
Well, I'm from East Hartford. Born and raised in East Hartford, went to East Hartford High School, graduated in 1991. Went to college down in Florida at Stetson University, played baseball. That's how I got to college. Wasn't my grades. No, just kidding. Just kidding. But played baseball in college and then played 9 years in the minors afterwards, kind of over throughout the country. Stopped playing in 2003. And after that, was trying to find a job, after playing, and was either leaning toward police or fire, or becoming a teacher. And the teacher aspect was kind of something I was kind of leaning toward as well, because of the ability to coach. And unfortunately, didn't work out. There was a program that's I think was still going on in Connecticut that's called Alternate Route to Certification, which basically packs in like 2 years of education curriculum that you would have taken in college into like an 8-hour-a-day course at a local college, which I think at the time it was at Central. but it's very strict as far as getting resumes, references, putting in your information, taking some of the tests, and then you submit everything, and then they'll send you a letter back and they'll say, thank you so much. We received 500 applicants, but we only needed 30. So unfortunately, didn't get that. And then I was playing some summer ball in for the Greater Hartford Twilight League. I was playing in Bristol, and one of my teammates, just graduated from University of Hartford, said, hey, what are you doing? I know you're trying to go police and fire and teacher and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, you ever think about doing mortgages? And I said, no, I've never thought about doing that. Why would I want to do that? I don't know anything about a mortgage, escrow, equity, all that kind of stuff. He's like, well, I just, started with this other previous company that we both worked at. So he goes, give me a resume. And this was like June of 2004, if I remember right. Yeah. Because my daughter was just born in May of 2004. And nothing really happened. And then I got a call like in October saying, I have your resume here. Do you want to come in for an interview? And I said, sure. And then long story short, November 1st, 2004 is when I started doing what I'm doing now. I was with the company for 3 years. Unfortunately, they had to shut down. And then been at where I'm at now with Annie Mac Home Mortgage since May of 2007. And we were going by a different name. And then that over the year in 2008, 2009, we eventually changed to be Annie Mac Home Mortgage. So that's been doing that now for, like I said, since November of 2004.
My broker, Sanam Salati, actually reminded me a few weeks ago. I don't know if you know this or not, but you actually came to our office to do a pitch
when she was with Exit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and we had a different name.
Yeah,
I've been with them since 2014.
And her husband
Tom.
Yeah,
I love Tom to death. Sanam and Tom are amazing. Well, we've had like 3 or 4 name changes since 2014.
Yeah, I was in there. So a luxury that we have as a company is we have a real estate productivity platform. It's a curriculum of education, coaching, training, marketing. It's called Annie Mac Works, and it's free for agents. And because we could not charge people because there'd be a RESPA violation. So it's a way that we can build a partnership, whether it's with an individual agent or if you know a broker is providing it to the broker, because there's broker curriculum as well that allows the broker to have accountability for the agents, profitability, recruitment for the agents. Because if they're a lot of agents, as you probably know, is they sometimes will look for the grass to be greener on the other side. Well, a good pitch is we have this coaching, this training, this technology that you might not have had at XYZ real estate agency, but now we have it here. Come on over. And everything's archived. It's webinar based. So if you like, one of the big classes that we have is staging. And I always kind of pitch that thing first about the program is you could be a licensed stager. And we all know that a staged house is going to sell for more and it's going to sell quicker. And that means more cash in your guy's pocket when the deal closes. So agents, and this is nationwide. This is not just Connecticut. This is a nationwide platform that we offer to real estate agents across the country. Is this Annie Mac Works? And so I went in there to pitch that. I got introduced to her by another Exit agent who was running an office, and yeah, it's obviously it's a great program. I would love to be able to provide that back and show. I just always try to grab a coffee with somebody and say, hey, this is what we can offer to you. It goes to everybody, whether you close 100 deals a year or you're just a part-time agent, which is perfectly okay, but you only do like 4 deals a year. Education is key, knowledge is key, and to be able to provide that to, why would you not want to become more productive and more knowledgeable? Because the curriculum was created by not us. It was created by real estate agents down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they have 30 years of experience. So they create this curriculum, again, that's all archived. So that's what I was going to say. So if you missed the staging class, say for instance, staging took place last week, and you're like, I was at an inspection. I was busy. I couldn't do it. Well, you can come home tonight, 8:00 at night, put the kids to bed and run the staging webinar and get that certification.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. if, for people who don't know, the mortgage companies are really great in partnering with real estate companies. A lot of the times they'll offer the continuing ed credit classes,
Yep.
and just super involved. And I mean, it makes sense, obviously, to develop relationships between mortgage companies and real estate agents. You brought up this point before, that there's no stupid questions. And I couldn't feel any more strongly about that, because, as you know, because you're the person coming up with these loans, this is probably the biggest purchase they're going to make in their life. And or this one might lead to
Until the next
what
one.
becomes the biggest sale of their life. But at least in this moment, more than likely, this is the biggest expense they've ever had. And I hate that they don't really know what they're doing. I always feel like, and I tell them that, like, look, there's no stupid questions. If you want to know why Chris has asked for the same documents twice, ask. The second set's not going to him; it's going somewhere else, right? You guys do that a lot. There's a lot of. It seems like a lot of the times you're asking for the same documents more than once, and the people are like, "I don't get it," and I'm like, "Just do what he says."
Well, it could have been maybe they thought they sent over, hey, I sent you my bank statements, but it might have been page 1. And you can see on page 1, it says 1 of 6.
And you want the other 5.
We need 2 through 6. That was one reason. I'll give you a great example is someone would say, well, why do you need my divorce decree? And I would say, well, on the application, it says unmarried. And we had one of the questions is any dependents, or we got your tax returns and we can see there's children on there. Well, if we're assuming that you're not married, are you paying a child support? Are you paying an alimony? Because if you are, we have to count that as a debt. So that people are like, well, that's kind of a little offensive to, going through my divorce decree. I'm like, well, that's the reason why, So you think you're closing one door, but what you sent over might open up another door. And now we have to go through that door and be able to shut that. So kind of one thing leads to the other. We're not just asking for paperwork because we just like gathering up paperwork.
Right.
It's necessary. And again, I would go without asking for any paperwork and go just off our conversation. Then we close a lot of deals. But unfortunately, underwriters have to underwrite the file, and they kind of have a glass half empty look at loans. So they have to make sure that they can fill up the other half of the glass to basically cross the T's and dot the I's. For the reason of that is investors who buy the loans way down the road, they're making sure, because they're buying tens of thousands of loans on the back end, that they want to make sure that everything is compliant.
Yep.
And that's what the industry is. Unfortunately, it's compliant. I get it. It's kind of the same adage of like, hey, if they're going to want to check me before going into the airport, I'll take a little extra 20 minutes to make sure that getting on the plane is safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
TCA
right.
And stuff. So,
the process has gotten more difficult over the last few years, which to me is another reason why you need a good real estate agent. You need a really good mortgage person. You need a good closing attorney. You need a team of people.
Yep.
That know what they're doing, that do this all the time, and have a good track record. And
Yep.
That's why I'm excited to get you in the loop with my clients, because I love my clients. Most of the people I deal with, I know directly or I know through somebody else. My business is very referral and very sphere of influence based.
Yep.
Not that I wouldn't work with a rando. I would. Call me. It's okay. But it's important to me, and this is why you and I are in a BNI group together.
Yep.
And it's an amazing group with amazing professionals, and I learned so much stuff from you guys every single week. And I really wanted to just get you on the podcast so that people could know that you will you'll be servicing loans for me here in the future. We're very excited about that.
Well, that's going back to the BNI group, to be able to have that team, that sales force that we like to call, is important to have those like-minded professionals, and knowing that we are going to do our due diligence upfront to try to make the process as smooth as possible for the client. Whether you're the real estate agent, whether you're the mortgage lender, you're the real estate attorney. That we're all working together to get it to the finish line.
And it's a very good analogy because this is very much like a marathon. I think when it comes to, we go out, we find your house, um, we write up a contract, we get it accepted, we kick it over to the mortgage guy, you start your whole process, and then we begin our whole adventures of home inspections. And while all this is happening, you guys start with the whole process of getting the loan together. And then, right, we fish this thing out to a closing attorney who starts to do the title search. There's a lot going on. And to do that in like a 45-day span, you need people who, number one, know what they're doing. Number two, can direct you as to the proper moves you should be making. I love the Monopoly board.
Yep.
I think that's a really that's an easy visual for people because, again, and I love my clients to death, but sometimes you call them up like a week in and you're like, how's everything going? And they're like, I haven't done anything yet. And you're like, all right, well, today's the day we're going to get active. We're going to start doing some stuff. What do you need to do? Well, they wanted this paperwork, and so there does tend to be a lot of hand-holding, and there should be, because this is what we do. We know what we're doing and have to take into account that most of them don't. They've never done anything. They've never done anything like this. They've never purchased anything large before. Maybe they've rented some places, so they had to get the $1,500 cash together quick. That's about it. So this is definitely the type of experience where you do need your hand held, and you need it held by people who are obviously knowledgeable, but also people, I think, that
care.
Sure, that's super important. I mean, right, because this is the most important thing in the world to them.
Right.
It should seem like it's the most important thing in the world to you.
You should treat it as you're doing your own loan.
Yeah.
And if you have that care philosophy, you're going to hold their hand and you're going to be upfront with them early. What is under promise and over deliver. And I think that is a great mentality to have in the business. Because again, they have so much stuff that's being thrown at them. So you got to be able to hold their hand, walking through the process, keep everybody in communication of what's happening. And before you know it, they're signing paperwork at closing, and it's a champagne day.
It sure is.
Yeah.
One of my favorite days. I love handing someone the keys when it's all said and done and signed, and all right, go to your house and go enjoy it.
Yeah, right.
Here it is.
Here's my address for the housewarming party.
Exactly. Oh my! It's funny. One of the things I did 2 years ago for the first time, and I really wanted to kind of make this sort of my thing. I don't even know who gave me the idea or whatever, but to throw them a housewarming party.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and then and then they invite people who they think also might be interested in buying a house.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Yeah,
it's
COVID
definitely
safe.
a good time.
COVID safe.
Speaking of COVID safe, just I'm vaccinated. My wife's vaccinated. We were in quarantine last week because we were exposed to people who were double vaxxed, and they got exposed to it. And so just when you start to think like, oh, it's all over, tap the brakes, people. Tap the brakes. Not quite there yet, but we're getting closer.
I have mine, excited. So I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. So any face-to-face interaction, I'm good with.
I like it. I'm excited about getting back out there and about seeing humans again. I really look forward to it.
There's no glass here.
Yeah.
So we're good.
It's funny you say that. I was actually going to make that joke. So I was thinking about it yesterday when I was like, Chris will be here. Maybe at some point I'll be like, but there's no glass there.
No glass.
He's absolutely right. But anyway, Chris Sawyer from Annie Mac Home Mortgage. How do people get in touch with you?
The easiest way is my cell phone, 860-878-8730. My email is csawyer@Annie, ANNIE -MAC.com.
Yeah, that's all going to be right here on the bottom of the screen. That's called post-production.
There you go.
We'll take care of that. Chris, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate and for just spitting some knowledge on the podcast today. We'll hopefully have you back again soon.
Absolutely.
I know we're working on another project that people can look forward to pretty soon as well. Make sure you visit clovercrestmedia.com/The Closing Time Podcast. It's powered by Rocky Hill Accountants. Make sure you talk to Glenn and Heidi. Again, you're kind of running out of time. May 17th is the deadline to get your taxes filed. They also, I tell you, these people are amazing. They do business consulting. Glenn's also a cryptocurrency expert.
Oh, there you go.
You wouldn't think it.
No, I had no idea.
I love Glenn. He doesn't look like a cryptocurrency expert, but he is literally certified in doing that. They do bookkeeping, accounting, pretty much any accounting needs that you have. Go to rockyhillaccountants.com. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. For my buddy Chris Sawyer, again, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Joe.
I'm Joe McGuire. Thanks for checking out the Closing Time Podcast.